All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Hauge with Brookings Economic Development. And for this week's Career Spotlight, we have Lisa Pederson here to talk about all things financial industry related. We're super excited to have her here today. So welcome, Lisa. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your role and your work.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Lisa Pederson. I work for First Bank and Trust at our Brookings East location. I am an assistant vice president and director of card services. I've worked for the organization for almost 13 years. Worked my way up from a teller at our Brookings main location, went through some management positions, and worked my way into the position that I find myself in today.
I love it. So what does a typical day look like for you? What are some of those roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, some of my primary responsibilities as the director of card services, I oversee the card services department. So what we're in charge of are deploying the strategy and the product delivery of credit card and debit card services. We also will do that for the ancillary services that come along with those products. Mobile wallet, if anybody has ever used something like that, that is a card related service, since you're loading a card into your Apple phone or maybe a Samsung type phone. A typical day for me consists of monitoring our card portfolio health. I'm looking at our activation rates, how many people we have cards in those hands of our card holders. We look at a lot of data analytics. I also manage vendor relationships with our card processing and network partners. So Visa is one of our partners. So that's somebody who I'm working with on a regular basis. And then our card processors are those who are actually, making sure those transactions get through to us so that your card works as it should. And then we also partner with a lot of departments internally, working on a lot of projects. So a normal day for me is spent in between quite a few meetings. We always have a plethora of projects going on that cards are rooted in some way. So I attend a lot of meetings on a normal day. I'm constantly attending webinars and trainings and reading articles. We're almost inundated with too much information, as a lot of people are in their industry today. From our processing partners and network partners. But in the cards payment industry, technologies are always changing and evolving in the payments industry in general. So those are things that I need to understand. I need to know how that's going to impact our business, how it's going to impact how our cardholders conduct their regular transactions. And then oftentimes it might mean that a new technology is on the horizon, that we need to implement that technology so that we're meeting the needs and demands of our cardholders and the expectations that people have today of being able to obtain those new technologies. So I'll seek out who those partners can be for our organization and work with them to come to an agreement, and then work on the deployment of those new products and services as well. So it's a very, very busy industry, ever-changing, very exciting industry to be a part of. There is never nothing to do.
And isn't that one of the nice parts? You're always busy and always learning something new. I just love that. That's really cool.
It is one of the best parts about the job, for sure.
Sure. So are you working with a group of people? Is it a large team, a small team? What does that look like? And I know with COVID, it might look a little bit different. So maybe you could share a little bit of information about what that currently looks like and maybe what that's looked like in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I have a small team. I have an intern and one full-time employee. So there's just 3 of us in our department. So we work really closely together, as you can imagine. But we work very closely with our card operations team. So while we're on the more of what you might consider the retail side, where we're focusing on the customer experience and the product delivery, our operations side focuses on the maintenance and the management of those card products and services. So we work very closely with that department because obviously those two work together. We want our customer experience to be a good one. So the program needs to be managed in a good way as well. So while I have a small team, I work with a rather large group of people as well. And then work with a few other internal teams as well. So yes, that is a part of my everyday as well, as meeting with my staff and making sure that they're staying on task with the projects and the work that we're working towards in meeting our goals.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So as you work with your small team, what are some of the key characteristics or qualities or traits that you notice really complement working in this industry, in this line of work? Do you have to, it sounds like you have to be a good multitasker and organized, but what are some of the other things that kind of help contribute to the success?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Being able to multitask, well, I think I always kind of debate, like, can people really multitask? But, being able to shift from one thing to the other quickly, because there's a lot going on in any given day. Organization is huge. We are very project intensive. And so, not letting something kind of get lost in the work that needs to be completed. It's easy for things to kind of slip through the cracks. So staying on top of the project the work that needs to get done and keeping it organized is really key. I think other things I look for are people who are adaptive to change, again, because things are always changing. We're always implementing new things and technology is always updating. So, we have to be able to adapt and be comfortable with implementing change. But it's an exciting, fast-paced environment as well. So somebody who's eager to work and committed to getting their nose to the ground and doing the work and the hard work. That is definitely characteristics that I look for.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of sounds like communication is kind of part of that as well. So when you guys are communicating, are you typically doing group setting communication? Are you doing email communication, phone? And obviously, again, with COVID, that might look a little bit different, but what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so normal communication for us, prior to COVID, a lot of meetings, with having groups together, where our organization is spread out beyond the Brookings community as well. So our meetings often consisted of a combination of in-person as well as our colleagues who work at other locations on video. Of course, now during COVID, a lot of video conference calls, a lot of phone calls. We have a messaging system where we can quickly message each other internally as well. Email, of course, is a huge way that we communicate with each other. But yeah, communication is something we're constantly in touch with, especially if you're working with somebody on a project. Again, I have weekly meetings with my team members, one-on-one, and then as a team together, so that we can make sure we're really vetting out tasks that need to be completed and work that we need to accomplish before the next week comes around. Because time flies, it really does. So when we set a goal for the end of Q1, on January 1, we are hitting the ground running, trying to make that goal complete. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I am going to shift gears a little bit. So you told us a little bit about your role and what that looks like and some of those responsibilities, but I want to know, how did you get interested in this line of work in the finance industry? Are there different classes that you took in high school or college? Maybe how did you get started and what kind of sparked that interest?
Yeah. So my route to this is a little bit unconventional. I actually went to school for health education.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah. So to end up in the financial industry, that is not where I was expecting to land. But how I got here, all throughout, really starting at a young age, I worked in customer service type roles. I always had a job in high school and then in college, of course. And they always were centered around customer service. So coming to work at the bank as a teller in a retail banking position was a natural fit. It's customer service, dealing with people all day long. So that was a natural fit for me. And having worked in customer service for so long, I think being a leader or becoming a leader on a team, it was quick for me to be able to accomplish that because I had just been doing it for so long that, again, it just felt natural. So it didn't take long after joining the organization that I became a branch manager, and I managed our East location and call center for, I think, just over 8 years, maybe 9 years. And while I was in that role, a lot of skills and growth development, and that really was my first time managing a department. And so I grew a lot of skills, even, in that facet, and leadership, skills development. And then further along in that role, I ended up joining a lot of project teams and representing our retail team on a lot of projects, joined committees. So I got to know a lot of people within the organization by being on these committees. And when this position opened, it just felt like a good move, a good time to at least try, to see if I could grow within the organization. I had no intention of leaving my managerial position. I thought I would be there till my hair was gray, I was comfortable and I felt like I was doing a good job. But this position opened, and it just felt like the right opportunity to, go for. And fortunately for me, the organization felt the same, and I was promoted to this position, and I've held it for now just over 2.5 years. And it's been a wonderful learning experience, that's for sure.
It sounds like it. And You're not originally from Brookings. You're originally from Minnesota, and you actually don't live in Brookings. You commute each day. So what brought you to Brookings? What got you interested in the area?
Yeah. So I grew up in Southwest Minnesota and currently live in Southwest Minnesota. So, Brookings is very familiar to me. It was not a new community. I have family who lives there. So, I guess what brought me there, I had a friend, she knew I was looking for a full-time job, and she said, "Hey, First Bank and Trust is hiring." So it was like, okay, I had never, in a million years even thought that, again, the banking industry is where I would end up. And so I applied for the job, and been working there ever since. So time really does fly. And as they say, the rest is history. And I love the commute. I don't mind the commute, I should say. I love being able to go to work and then kind of leave. It's almost like going on a little vacation every night. It's like
clear the mind, put on a good podcast.
Although it takes time out of your day, it is a nice way to unwind and listen to my podcast. That's how I catch up on all the things that I love to catch up on. Of course, I've had to find new ways to do that now in a COVID world, but yeah, it is a good way to unwind and kind of gear yourself up for the day as well and on the commute in. So I find that working in Brookings it's been a really great experience for me. I've met a lot of wonderful people. I've gotten involved in the community as much as I can. It's not as easy when you don't live there. But I've done some things that maybe I can do during the workday to help volunteer so that I can get out in the community as well.
That seems like a good segue into my next question. So as we look at kind of developing what this career pathway looks like, are there different organizations or groups or professional development activities that you did that helped contribute to kind of finding your way in the finance world? Are there different networking groups that you were a part of that kind of helped you network with different individuals within that industry and just kind of get you connected?
Yeah, absolutely. So I early on in my post as the manager, I was able to join Leadership Brookings. So that was something I had done and participated in one of, I guess, I don't know if it was necessarily an earlier class. It feels like it to me because it was a long time ago. So I participated in that, and of course, met a lot of people in the community through that. I've also done junior achievement the last few years. Again, obviously junior achievement, you're going into a classroom. So that's something that we do during the day. So those have been ways that I've tried to connect throughout the community. Also, being a community bank, we get involved in the community in a lot of other ways. We oftentimes, many years ago, I used to go up to the university and I would present to classes there on just financial health and well-being and ways to improve your credit score, those type of things. I have done that in the elementary and high school setting a couple times. So those have been ways that I've been able to connect with other people in the community. Internally in our organization too, we have committees. I think it's important to also develop that rapport with your colleagues and people you work with every day. So even volunteering, I guess you could say, to be on a committee is something that I would encourage people to do, to get involved in the organization they work for. So I was able to do that. I sat on some other more formal committees as well, where I was able to build my professional relationships with people I work with. And currently I'm on the Emerging Leaders group, which is through the South Dakota Bankers Association. So a few of my colleagues as well are on that. And I've been able to meet other bankers throughout the state through that organization.
Oh, that is really cool. I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I really love that you put such a high priority on some of those things, but also your organization does as well. And I think First Bank and Trust does a really nice job of some of that community outreach and really prioritizing like building relationships and networking and giving back to the community. So I think that is just so cool and important. Yeah,
it really is. I mean, people are the backbone to our communities. We need to have people there and we need to support them. And, that is something that is at the core of First Bank and Trust ethics. And, just, again, it's just a part of who we are. It's important to give back to our community. So they're very supportive and encouraging of our employees getting out there and doing things in the community to help the people in our communities.
Oh, so cool. It gets me so excited talking about this kind of stuff. So for students or community members looking to learn a little bit more about careers in banking, what would some of the first steps be? So if you're a student, are there different internship opportunities or part-time opportunities that students could kind of get a little taste about what a career would look like in this field?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess first I want to point out, a bank is a business just like any other organization. So we don't only look for people who have, business degrees and mathematics degrees and economic degrees. We have human resources and IT and data developers. There is a variety of positions that are available in a bank or in the financial industry. I'm sorry, I forgot the original.
No, that's okay. Are there ways for students to get involved through internships or part-time opportunities so they can get a taste of what a career would look like? And I really like that you brought up that there's so many different parts of a bank. So like you said, you could join IT or human resources. There's so many different avenues to kind of explore.
Yes. So we do have internship opportunities dependent on the department and their needs for that year. But there are often a variety of internship opportunities that are available. We oftentimes have many part-time positions that are available as well. We fill those frequently with college students who are looking to get their foot in the door into the financial industry or just into the bank in general, because they would like to work for the organization full time someday. So it is really encouraging to see those people come in the door and want to learn. We, within our organization, we have a shadowing program. So that allows employees the opportunity to explore, whether they want to know more just so that they can do their job better, or they want to know more because they're interested in career pathing and they want to move up in the organization someday. So those are things that, we very much encourage our employees when they come in. If they're interested in growth within the organization, they can shadow. We have a career pathing program as well, where you work very closely with your manager to build on the skills that you need to get to the position that you'd like to be in someday. And we also have a mentoring program. So you partner one-on-one. The organization pairs you with somebody based on feedback you've given for where you'd like to grow and what you'd like to do someday. So you get paired with a mentor and you have regular meetings with that mentor in the organization. So there is a lot of opportunity within our organization to, like I said, get your foot in the door and then explore all of the opportunities, because there are so many avenues that you could take. It's not really, I think oftentimes people think, oh, bank officer, loan officer, lending.
Yes.
Yep. That is just a drop in the bucket of the opportunities available at an organization like ours.
Good job explaining that. I think about that too. When we're talking to different students, they kind of connect the dots between,
Yep.
banking, I need to get a finance degree, or I need to have some sort of background in this, but really that's not the case. So that was fantastic information to share. I appreciate that.
Good. Thank you. Yeah.
So my last question is, if you had any advice to give to students or just kind of the general population about a career like yours, what would that be? What would kind of your final parting takeaway be for our audience?
Yeah. Well, I guess just coming from my own personal experience and then maybe my experience as a branch manager, things I would encourage people to do is get work experience. It was discouraging as a manager when I would have a candidate come in and they had no work experience, but they went to college, and, leaning on a degree isn't always going to get you the right job. I think it's really critical to see that you've worked with people. We are a people-based organization. We serve customers. So it's important that you understand how to treat a customer. Oftentimes we would say we hire for attitude because many of our positions are trainable. If people are willing to work and willing to do a good job in the role they were hired for, they will see success. And again, they're trainable, the type of positions that you can come into. While a degree is always encouraged and fantastic, there are things that, you could do, again, health education, and look where I am today. It's like, I do not regret my degree. I had so many good experiences, which again, a post-secondary degree is wonderful to achieve because I think you have experiences in college and that you won't be able to earn otherwise. But come in, show us that you've had that work history, working in a restaurant, gas stations, retail stores. Those are the type of jobs where you'll have gained that experience in working with customers.
I really like that you touched on those career skills. So all of these different experiences kind of help prepare you for what's next in your career journey. So that was really great information to share. And I really like how you talked about you can be trained for your position as long as you have some of these skill sets. Sky's the limit, and we can really just kind of work with you to kind of customize what that looks like for you based on your skill sets and your strengths and the areas that you're really interested in. So that's really great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there definitely are roles that require, to have had a degree and to understand, like I said, economics. that is not my wheelhouse. That is not why I don't work in those type of things. I can do product delivery. I can understand customers' wants and needs. And so, those are my strengths and where I found my niche in this industry. And that goes for everyone. So if you know of something that you're passionate about, or you find drive in learning specific things, those are the type of degrees to go for, and then come into the organization wanting to follow that path. But I think it's not uncommon for us to have individuals come in and say, I'm interested in banking, but I'm not sure what I'm interested in. I like to work with people, but there's just a variety of things that I like to do. And so when you work with your managers here, they help you find those paths and those opportunities within the organization. We're a promote within culture. So we look for those people who are willing to work for the organization and do good work for the organization. We tell our people every day is an interview. You never know who you're going to be crossing paths with within the organization, who might be able to help you with a step up in the organization, and who you might be impressing, and they could be your hiring manager someday. So it's a fantastic organization to work for.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for sharing all this good information with us, Lisa. This was fantastic. I will include your contact information. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, we'll make sure that we have that available. So feel free to reach out to Lisa with any additional questions or comments, or maybe you just want to chat or get coffee. I would encourage you to do so. Lisa is a rock star and fabulous to have here in our community. So thanks so much for joining us, Lisa.
Thank you. And sorry I talked your ear off.
Nope, all good stuff. We'll see you later.
Bye.